Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check out today's episode. By popular demand is today's topic. I've had a lot of people over the past couple weeks want some tips and advice on how to win or how to do good in the Big Bass Bash up at Lake of the Ozarks this weekend. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice from my perspective. If I was fishing that tournament, what I would do to try to win that thing or to catch some big ones in today's video. And also, guys, if you're interested in getting some good spots for Lake of the Ozarks, please check out my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. These are breakdowns I built for fishthemoment.com for lakes all across the country. We do have Lake of the Ozarks breakdowns for all 4 seasons of the year. So I'll put the link in the description of this video if you guys are interested in that. And also, guys, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and shoot me a private message for details. So I appreciate that. Okay, how are you going to win it, man? What's the best way to win this Lake of the Ozarks deal? It's not the way you think as far as catching big ones, because one of the things about it, guys, is I have fished Lake of the Ozarks a bunch for over 50 years. I started fishing up there in the late 70s a lot. I fished tons of tournaments up there. I fished tons of tournaments, and I fished tons of, days this time of the year up there in the fall. So I understand what it takes to catch big ones. So what I want to do in today's video is talk about how I have caught my biggest bass at Lake of the Ozarks this time of year, pretty much the first week of October in today's video. Okay, of course, the way that I'm going to teach you how to catch them, guys, is real bass fishing. We're not going to be talking about forward-facing sonar stuff or anything like that. Obviously, that's going to be a factor. That's going to be a big player. And there's a good chance that the tournament could get won by some guy, spotlighting brush piles or, find the big one laying up underneath the dock somewhere suspended. I mean, that's a very real possibility. But for traditional bass fishing techniques, which you do have just as good a chance to win this tournament fishing traditional techniques as somebody does that's using, forward-facing sonar, that's what I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the obvious, which I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's going to get won like this. The obvious choice to win big bass of that tournament is on a glide bait, big swim bait or glide bait. The problem with that, and it has been won on that before. My friend Oliver and I won, the big bass up at Ozarks a few years ago on a big mega bass glide bait. But guys, if I was fishing that tournament, I wouldn't even have a glide bait with me, because a glide bait is one of those deals where you can fish it all day long and never catch a fish on it. Or you might catch one, or you might have some big ones follow it. But in terms of giving yourself a realistic shot of winning that thing, I just think personally that there's going to be too many people fishing a glide bait. I think the bass on Lake of the Ozarks have gotten very conditioned to big glide baits. I'm not saying you can't catch one, and it could very possibly get one. Somebody throws a big glide bait, down a bluff or next to some type of a deep boat dock. Yeah, there's a big one that could come out and hit the thing. But if you're wanting to do well in that tournament as far as hourly big bass awards and have a shot to win it, personally, I would not be throwing a big glide bait. Here's what I would be doing more than anything else. There are 2 ways that I see this tournament could possibly get won, and one of them far outweighs it. The first way is the topwater lure. Now, topwater lure is going to be one of the one of the 2 ways that it could possibly be won, but I put the odds of it getting won on a topwater lure a lot less than what I'm getting ready to talk about. Topwater lure like a whopper plopper, a buzz bait, even something like a popper or a walking bait. Yeah, you could catch a big one on it. You might catch the winning fish on it. In my opinion, the winning fish in this tournament, the big bass of the tournament, is going to be around 6 pounds. Could be a little over 6, could be a little under 6, but if you catch a 6-pound class fish, you're definitely going to have a shot to win the tournament. So, given that, you can possibly get a big one on topwater. I mean, that's definitely definitely a possibility. Definitely, I'd probably have one tied on there, but I wouldn't fish as much. In my opinion, this tournament's going to get one on a jig. The big bass is going to get one on a jig. Now, it could get one on a full-size jig, like my Blaukat Throwback jig, or a Finesse jig, like my Blaukat Power Finesse jig. Lake of the Ozarks that is what most of the big fish are caught on throughout the year, some type of a jig. And also finesse jigs, guys, the smaller finesse jigs, they account for a ton of big bass. Excuse me, guys. Dang, seasonal allergies here. But a finesse jig will account for a lot of big ones up at Lake of the Ozarks. So if I'm going to fish the tournament, and there's the thumbnail of this video, the bass you see there, that was a 7-pound, 2-ounce bass I caught at Lake of the Ozarks about 3 Octobers ago on a jig. If I was fishing that tournament, I would have nothing but jigs on. I'd have one of my Blaukat Throwback jigs in black and chartreuse. If you do get some of those, guys, I'll put all these links in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys like to get some of the suggested baits to win this. But if you put one of my black and chartreuse Blaukat Throwback jigs on with either a blue or a black chunk on it, super chunk on there, that's what I have caught the most big ones on, as far as, by far this time of year. Flipping it and pitching it around shallow cover. Lay down logs, boat docks, anything like that in less than 4 foot of water, in some off-colored water. Now, the reason for the black and chartreuse is the black and chartreuse will always get you your bigger fish, by far. It's like a black and chartreuse is going to get you less bites, as far as I'm talking on a jig, but it's going to get you better bites. It's like if you use a black and chartreuse jig, especially with a darker trailer on it, when you get bit on the thing, it's usually a quality fish, guys. And I have caught lots of bass in October at Lake of the Ozarks flipping a black and chartreuse jig. That would be my number one thing. My second, and I would look, and again, in that particular situation with that jig, I would look for shallow off-colored water. And there's a lot of it on the lake. You can find it about anywhere. Now, if the other factor, now this is one that they could go both ways. These are both jigs, is a finesse jig. I'll put that my Power Finesse jig link in the description too. A finesse jig fished on the deeper docks and a little bit cleaner water has got a great chance to win the tournament. That's a good way to catch numbers. And when you pitch that finesse jig in behind or down the sides of a boat dock that it's in, like, anywhere between, say, 8 to 15 foot of water, you got just as good a chance to catch a 6 or 7 pounder on that finesse jig around a deeper dock as you do anything. You might catch a 12-inch spotted bass off that dock, and you might catch a 7 or 8 pound largemouth off of it. That is a high percentage, really good way to fish it. And what I would do is I would get either probably a 1/2 ounce size. I'd get the 1/2 ounce, like in my Power Finesse jig, and put a Zoom Super Chunk Junior on it. The smaller chunk on it, probably in some type of brown purple or green purple with a green pumpkin chunk. That's a high percentage lure. That tournament has been won several times on a finesse jig, and it got won one year on a Ned rig. So this is what I'm talking about. It's like, if you want to do well in that tournament, don't go out there and be one of those dudes that put on an 8-inch or 10-inch swim bait and chunk it around all day and think you're going to win the tournament. More than likely, you're not going to get a fish in the boat all day long. So if I was in that tournament, guys, that's what I would be doing. I'd have that black and chartreuse jig on. I'd have that, brown, purple, green, purple, something like that on. Probably some type of a big topwater, like that big Jamaican boa, buzz bait or whopper plopper, something like that's going to be really, really good. Mega Bass also makes that one walking topwater called a Mega Dog, which is like a 8-inch topwater, like some type of a walking Zara spook. That could possibly work. But I'll put all that stuff in the link in the description here. And as far as the areas of the lake go, this is one tournament where that big bass could get caught anywhere on the lake. It could get caught down on the lower end of the lake. It could get caught in the Gravois arm. It could get caught, in the Grand Glaze arm. It could get caught up the Osage. It could get caught up the Niangua. The only thing that I would probably stay away from in this tournament is like some of the main lake, like the main lake areas between like Lynn Creek and Shawnee Bend. I have not caught that many big ones there. It's been more up into the major creek arms and tributaries is where most of my bigger ones have come this time of year. So anyway, guys, hope that's some good advice for you. Like I said, my prediction is that tournament's going to get won on a jig. I think the big bass, and I think most of the hourly checks are going to get caught on jigs, and that's what I'd be doing if I was in that tournament. So hope you guys do well. We'll talk later.